Will Iran's regime break? After 46 years of sanctions, conflicts, and protests, it feels like you are watching a turning point in history, right? Not because collapse is guaranteed, but because economic, military, and diplomatic pressure has just converged. Iran cannot win a conventional war against the United States, but it can credibly trigger serious disruption to roughly 20 to 30% of global oil trade very fast. Here is how Iran was weakened. Iran projects power through 4 levers. First, proxies like Hezbollah, the Houthis, and Iraqi militias. Not puppets, but groups Iran funds to compete with Saudi Arabia, spread revolutionary ideology, and strike adversaries with plausible deniability. Second, its nuclear program, enrichment sites Tehran considers essential to sovereignty and energy security. After the US withdrew from the nuclear deal in 2018, Iran saw little reason to trust Western promises, so enrichment became leverage in sanction negotiations. Third, ballistic missiles. Since Iran lacks a modern air force, it relies on a vast arsenal of missiles and drones capable of striking hostile regional assets. Iran also supplies components to allied groups. Fourth, the Hormuz Strait. Iran controls the northern shore of the Strait of Hormuz, which carries roughly 20% of liquefied natural gas, or LNG. Tehran warned it could close the waterway. These levers look formidable, but over a decade, adversaries turned each one into a pressure point. The pressure didn't just start in 2026. It escalated in May 2018 when Trump withdrew from the nuclear deal and reimposed maximum pressure oil sanctions. Over 7 years, the stress came from 3 fronts: economic, military, and diplomatic. On the economic front, US sanctions targeted Iran's oil network. By late 2025, over 170 tankers were blacklisted. Monthly oil revenue collapsed from $3.8 billion in early 2024 to $1.75 billion, a 54% drop. The currency fell from 430,000 rials per dollar in 2022 to 1.5 million rials per dollar by early 2026. Iran had 35 million barrels stranded on tankers it could not sail. The price of medicine surged by around 70%. Cancer medications vanished from pharmacies. In short, revenue crumbled, leaving the regime to prioritize security apparatus spending over subsidies and economic relief. On the military front, Israel launched a 12-day war on June 13, 2025. 5 strike waves hit approximately 100 targets, including Natanz, Isfahan, and Fordow. These were Iran's key uranium enrichment sites. The strikes killed Commander Major General Hossein Salami, Armed Forces Chief Major General Mohammad Bagheri, and roughly 30 other generals, all from the IRGC, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, Iran's elite military force. On June 22nd, the US joined in, using B-2 stealth bombers and Tomahawk cruise missiles. Trump claimed the nuclear sites were destroyed. Intelligence agencies later assessed the damage was significant but not total. Hezbollah, already weakened by late 2024, lost further command and control capability, but is trying to rebuild. The result? Deterrence was broken, their leadership was decimated, and Iran's ability to retaliate was left crippled. By late 2025, economic collapse fueled unrest. Protests erupted on December 28. Trump told demonstrators on January 13, 2026, help is on the way. Death toll estimates vary widely amid an internet blackout, from several thousand in some reports to over 30,000 according to opposition sources and human rights groups. The regime faced a choice: fund the IRGC or subsidize bread. It chose internal security. That choice signaled the system was barely surviving and vulnerabilities were accumulating. Years of pressure had created a perfect storm: a bankrupt treasury, widespread protests, and a regime forced to prioritize domestic control over services. Trump's intelligence agencies assessed Iran as weaker than at any point since 1979. The nuclear program was damaged. Proxies were depleted, and dissent was growing. The question shifted. Not can we weaken Iran further, but is it the moment to strike or to negotiate from maximum strength? By late January 2026, all the pressure converged. Revenue had collapsed, military deterrence was degraded, and diplomatic room had narrowed all at once. Trump deployed the USS Abraham Lincoln, a nuclear-powered aircraft carrier, with 3 destroyers and additional warships already in the Gulf. F-35C stealth fighters and F-15E fighter jets joined the buildup. Trump announced a secret deadline for Iran. Only they know, he said. On the diplomatic front, the European Union designated the IRGC a terrorist organization. On January 31st, 2026, explosions struck multiple cities, including Bandar Abbas on the Strait of Hormuz, leaving at least 5 people dead. Officials claimed gas leaks. Others alleged sabotage. The cause remained disputed. Years of attrition had created the moment its enemies were waiting for. Alright, let's wrap up with this. Iran's state-run press TV announced live fire drills in the Strait of Hormuz, prompting a warning from the US Central Command against unsafe actions. Then, Iranian officials abruptly denied the drills had ever been planned. A sign perhaps that the regime is hesitant. Anyway, the heat is on, so what happens next? A deal is possible. Strikes are likely if talks fail, and regime change unlikely without something major. We cannot see yet. The only certainty is that neither side is backing down, at least not yet. If this was useful, subscribe for more breakdowns. What do you think happens next? Deals, strikes, targeted assassinations, extractions, or something else? Drop your take in the comment section. Thank you all for watching.